Hi, this is Tom for PokerVIP.com, and I'm doing another video on TonyBet. This is for TonyBet Week, so it's going to be another video of Limit Omaha action. But this one's going to be a bit different. In this one, we are going to be playing where we do not fold to 3-bets. So it basically gives us the option of either calling or raising every time we 3-bet. And so we're going to have to make some adjustments to make sure that still is a profitable solution. And I've been kind of toying with it in my mind as to what I can and can't do in this situation. And in general, in Limit Omaha, we want to be calling 3-bets with hands that have a lot of post-flop nut potential, namely big suited rundowns, hands that can make nut flushes, basically anything with connectivity and nut potential. So hands that are reasonably strong to a single raise, but not so strong in 3-bet spots, such as pairs of the middling variety with that much connectivity that we would be raising on button and folding to 3-bets in a normal situation. We've kind of got to adjust to how we play those now. And I think the easiest way is probably just to remove them from our range and expand our suitedness range a bit more, just because it's going to play much better post-flop and give us a lot more kind of post-flop potential and just a bit more of a defense against the 3-bet. So we're going to see how this goes. Hopefully it goes reasonably well in this half an hour video. You see 2 tables of 25 Limit Omaha. They both seem reasonably soft with a couple of regs on. So we're just going to be playing as we were in previous videos on TonyBet, a fairly value-heavy strategy. We're going to be looking to play in position and just take it from there and see what interesting spots we happen to find. So right-hand table, I'm going to vaguely respect the fact he has raised under the gun +1 and just call. On the left-hand table, it is 4-handed versus 6-handed, so we're going to expand ranges a little bit. How that then plays into our not falling to 3-bets, we're going to have to sort of make a judgment call on that front, I think. We're going to be opening a very nice suited Broadway rundown, flopping less than spectacularly. So I have 2 options here. I can either bet and hope for potential spades to be able to bet turn, or I can just check and attempt to sort of get some form of showdown. I think that's probably the better option here. This is going to hit his calling range far better than my raising range. I have been playing this guy a little bit heads up for about 5 minutes before the video started, and he seems a bit stationary, truthfully. So that doesn't seem like the kind of player that I necessarily want to be attempting to bluff off on spots where, if he knows anything about Limit Omaha, he's going to know that he has range advantage, generally speaking, unless I have a nut flush draw. Or a hand such as, I don't know, ace 4-6 with a couple of diamonds, that kind of hand, but we're always going to be betting those on flop. So once we check flop, he's always going to have range advantage, and the hands that really connect with that board are still going to be quite a small part of our range, so he can kind of assume I don't have it until I show enough aggression where he has to kind of rethink that idea. So it's just an example of a nice hand that flops fairly poorly, but you know, that will happen in any form of poker. So yeah, but as I said, we've played a little bit on the left-hand table. Vidala sat down with $10. We took it off him. He's rebought. A couple of other people joined the table. So that's you know, reasonably good news from our point of view. Doing this as a heads-up video would be significantly more challenging. The more people on the table, the easier this not fold to 3-bet could be. 4-handed, I'm okay raising the double-suited king with some connectors. It's a board that is actually going to help my range more than here, so I think I'm going to be firing 1 and probably giving up any time he calls, but I think check folding on this spot is probably a little too passive, and we get it through, which is obviously a good result. Double-suited queens, we can open here. Gets a little awkward if you 3-bet. I still think it has enough post-flop playability just about justify the decision, especially if we get 3-bet and we have position on the guy. That makes, or girl, that makes things significantly easier from our point of view. But given it's a not fold to 3-bet challenge, we're obviously calling 3-bets. We're not going to be 4-betting that hand. I think when we 4-bet it, we turn it into a bluff, and we're just going to be showing aces and kings a lot, which we're not doing so well against. So yeah, we're just going to be just peeling if we had got 3-bet there, and endeavouring to hit a certain type of flop, probably one containing a queen or some 8s or some 7s. suited cards. Advantage of being double suited is we are going to hit more flops. Double suited hand, but it's rubbish and we're out of position, so let's just throw that one away and wait for the next hand. So yeah, when I did the first series of 4 videos on TonyBet, I mentioned it had 80% rate back, decent sign-up bonus. All those things are still very true, but for the next week, there is going to be some Poker VIP games going on. I think there's some cash games going on Twitch. There's some tournaments where you can get free tournament tickets here, that sort of stuff. So I guess worth having a checking it out if you haven't already done so. I'll probably be jumping into one of those cash games. Will not be playing all of the tournaments because one of them does fall on my 30th birthday, and playing a tournament does not sound like fun when I'm turning 30. But that aside, I will probably be getting involved. Yeah, should be a good week. The Limit Omaha week that they did on this site, I think got a pretty good response, got good feedback. Good amount of people got involved, so hopefully this week kind of goes along the same vein. Nines, I think I fold actually. It's tight, but I think when I'm not planning to fold to a 3-bet, it makes the hand significantly more difficult. I want to be playing that with the option of folding to a 3-bet. And if I don't have that option, it's going to make life a bit more difficult. So that might be one I just shave off the bottom end of the range and add some more suitedness in. It's the first time I've done one of these challenges in a while, and it's certainly the first time I've ever done it on this site. So maybe I haven't quite got the ranges perfectly what I would, have in my mind if I did this for several thousand hands. But I think I've kind of like theorized where I should be roughly in terms of range and what I should and shouldn't be doing. And I think I'm in the right ballpark. Okay, so we're now 3-handed, which makes things a bit more awkward for the not folding the 3-bet thing. I'm going to be folding 8s. So hopefully a couple more people sit down on the left-hand table. Would make things a bit easier from my point of view. If the table breaks, which it might do, we'll just carry on with the right-hand table and see if we can add another one. Sort of get around it that way. So apologies if that happens. Kind of the nature of the beast of recording videos is you can't predict what's going to happen for the next 30 minutes. So we'll just see what happens. But hopefully both tables run. I'm going to be defending my double paired hand. See if I can hit a set. It doesn't look like a set. I do have a blocker to some straight draws, but yeah, there's enough for 2 pairs straights, 2 pair straight draws, flush draws, occasional sets that we're not going to be doing anything here, barring it getting checked round or something like a 9 or a 7 rolling off. That is neither a 9 or a 7. I'm going to be continuing my checking, taking showdown, please God, let my hand be good plan. Don't anticipate it's ever good, but, once in a blue moon. One bet into, even half pot. Seems like a pretty good spot to fold. Wow, junk and monotone seems like a pretty good spot to fold. And the low queen looks significantly better than it actually is. Doesn't play that well. Pretty easy fold. Especially if I'm not playing fold in any 3-bets, that's just an absolutely disastrous hand to call a 3-bet with. But I wouldn't be playing it anyway. With the possible exception of being like on the button and potentially facing a couple of nits in the blinds that I think I can steal off. But I don't think many of these players on this site are nits. I think a lot of them are loose passive, so raising that kind of part of my range is probably not a great idea. We're now heads up. That has some issues for not folding 3-bets, but we'll see. Going to defend the 9s in a heads up spot. We do have position, which is somewhat fantastic. When check 2, I think I'm going to take a shot at it with my pair gut shot, backdoor higher straight, backdoor flush draw, backdoor quad draw. There's a lot of backdoors, but I'm not going to be heartbroken if he folds either. Check raise will be weird, but almost certainly nutted. That being said, I do block the 8-7-9 draw, which is kind of good from my point of view. Any folds? Always nice. So yeah, let's see if this guy sticks around and if a couple more people join. Certainly make things easier for me. I'm going to be opening the aces on the right-hand table. Flopping bottom pair on the left-hand table. Seems like a pretty good spot to check back. I can bet and turn this into a bluff. It's questionable as to what turns I want to see, so pot controlling seems okay. Two pair, but it completes straights and flushes. Kind of up in the air as to what I want to do here. I think folding's fine though. And I'm going to be firing once with my aces and queen blocker. I'm going to assume if they call, they almost certainly have a 9. Or maybe occasionally a queen, and we can check back and try and see some cheap rivers. But I want to thin the field and kind of see what's going on right here. Going to check the jack when limped. Turn. Oh, that's weird. Half pot lead. Turn's actually not really going to change anything. Okay, I think the plan is to call and fold to a river bet, I think is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to check my jack here. Nothing's improved, and we're just going to check back here. And he actually turned. Wow, he led a 9 on the turn. That's very, very weird. Yeah, I'm not really sure why he's doing that, to be honest. Oh well. I guess my turn line was not terrible. Long term. Short term, bit of a head scratcher, truthfully. I mean, I guess. Doesn't really make a great deal of sense. So this guy has posted. I guess we attack the post. Doesn't seem like a terrible play. Obviously opening that on the left-hand table. I do have the ace blocker to the NFD, so again, I think this is a spot I'm going to take one shot at and see if I can get it through. Snap calling is not fantastic. I'm probably just shutting down now. Doesn't seem like a particularly good spot to bluff. Yeah, I'm just going to be shutting down here. I don't see this working too often. Ace high is the nuts. Always nice. I think when limped, I'm not really sure that like raising off the blinds is a great idea. I do think leading has some merit though when we flop. Double gut shot and middle pair. And if I take it down, it's fine. Just going to try and endeavor to find out exactly where I am, establish what range he's on in that spot, and also kind of make it clear that if he's limping, he's not just going to get checked to on every single occasion. Again, opening on the button seems pretty reasonable. And when we're flopping top twosies, continuation, seems like a pretty good spot to do so. There are turns we don't enjoy the sight of, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So something that you see more in Omaha than you would in Hold'em for sure, but is still somewhat rare, is the open limp. We've already had someone ISO it, so we're just going to be folding. Make a defend on the left-hand table and flop less than brilliant. It should theoretically hit my range better than his, but heads up, ranges are significantly wider. Not really sure we need to do all that much defending there. Like if it was a perfectly balanced strategy, I probably would, but I don't think you need to be balanced in this. I think we can play a very exploitative, value-heavy strategy, which is what I'm going to endeavor to do. Someone else has sat down, which is probably reasonably good news for me. Okay, we'll check that. Curious as to what is the better approach there, but again, I don't really need to tangle. Right-hand table, bit too disjointed, I think, to get involved. I'm going to be 3-betting here. Generally, I'm not going to be 3-betting a massive amount of hands off my big blind, just being out of position, but I'm going to be 3-betting top 5 to 7% and, slightly wider heads up, and this definitely falls into that category. Flopping a second up flush draw and overpair seems like a pretty good spot to bet and likely not fold if we're raised. Very occasionally my opponent's going to have 3 jacks. It's reasonably disconnected other than the flush draw. They can have the nut flush draw and just jam that. He can jam 8, 10, 9, which I'm ahead of. He can jam a bear jack, which I'm ahead of. So there's a small part of range that does have me in trouble, but it's a small enough part of range that I kind of sigh when it happens, and the rest of the time I should probably be stacking his chips if the run out is vaguely average. So this person sat down, and I believe there is instantly going to be a large pot. I missed exactly what happened, but one of them has certainly 3-bet. Interesting run out. This is a hand on the right-hand table that I'm going to be raising cutoff and raising button, but not UTG +1. And wow, we are playing a big pot. And flopping King 8, flopping the boat is generally good news. Not really sure how that all got in. Okay, we can open here. If this, yeah, I was going to say, if this guy raises, I probably have to go with it, given I can't fold to 3 bets, right? So I'm obviously not calling because I have to fold if I miss. So let's just put it in and see if I can run good. This is the downside of not playing this like 3-bet challenge. It's a very similar hand. Um, okay, that's not good. Second run out. Yeah, that's not good. Okay. I really thought I was going to win the first run out. That River King was a kind of a bit of an unfortunate one. Oh well. Um, Against a typical 20 big blind range, I'm not doing terribly. There's an argument for maybe folding pre if I assume he 3-bets his entire range, being a bit tilted, but yeah, I'm not heartbroken at how that went. Yeah, it's a little annoying though. Again, raising out of position with potentially a live player doesn't seem great at this point. Just going to be calling. Pretty good flop. There are going to be some instances where I'm behind. Ace King and King Queen do exist. King 4 is really unlikely, but I suppose exists. Okay, got check round. I guess we just start going for value now. Potentially get called by hearts, potentially get called by 6, 7, 8. There's going to be some rivers I don't really want to see. Trips doesn't sound like a good idea. So yeah, Eduardo seems like a bit of a live wire. He got stacked on his, well, not quite stacked. He doubled somebody up on his first hand and seems quite the aggressive chappy. I think I can't remember truthfully which part of the original 4-part series I talked about different player types that you typically face in the micros, but one of them was a maniac. You typically have your nits, you have your loose passives, your regs, and your maniacs. And okay, this is a very small sample size, but I'm going to probably categorize him as a maniac, which is going to make this fold to 3-bet challenge quite interesting, actually. I mean, I guess it's double suited. This could be a fold. Like, if he didn't open, I think it's a fold. If he didn't limp, sorry, it probably is a fold. Okay, well, I can't fold to a 3-bet, so I guess I was hoping for hearts or diamonds or some form of connectivity. The ace is going to favor Eduardo quite a lot. And we flop basically nothing, barring some backdoor miracle. The right-hand table, not much has really happened, to be truthful. We're just folding a lot of not all that premium hands. So yeah, hopefully we find an interesting spot on this table. But being 6-handed, obviously the action's significantly less frenetic than it is on the left-hand table. So yeah, hopefully we find something to talk about. Given Eduardo has been raising crazily, I don't think raising that and having to call a 3-bet is ever going to be a good idea. So I'm just going to be finding fold. Apologies for mindly adjusting the video there ever so slightly. Random mouse click. Yeah, we're going to defend here. Flops just about well enough. Hasn't flopped particularly well in this particular instance, but yeah, we can make some straights, we can make some flushes. It's an okay call with a raise and a call in front. As is, we're just going to be folding when we flop the naked gut shot and nothing else. And I also think that flash is, he might be overcalling a little wide against Eduardo, but when he calls it, it really should mean that my overcalling range has to be very, very tight. Okay, kings play 9s, and yeah, I mean, that might be a little light against Eduardo. He might be a maniac, but maniacs do show up with hands every once in a while. I'm going to be opening kings, and versus this guy, I think if he 3-bets, we're just 4-betting. I think that's the better option here. He's going to be 3-betting very, very wide, and I think kings is just too strong. Like, calling it and playing it out of position is just going to make life very, very difficult for us. Oh, God, really? Oh. Like, check folding is so bad, but betting is so bad as well. What the hell do I do here? What do I do? All right, I think I probably check call, maybe. This is bad, though. This is a really bad spot. Made 2 pair. I really don't like this spot. Okay, I've actually made a boat. As runouts go, that's pretty good. I'm okay with this runout now. Problem is my opponent's going to put me on aces just about every time. On the right-hand table, we flopped a set, and I'm just going to be betting it until I'm told I'm not good. Okay, yeah, I guess let's go for value. He's going to put me on aces a lot, but, you know. Given that's the flop and I have kings, that runout is borderline miraculous. I'm pretty happy. The runner boat came in. It's when you 4-bet kings against someone who's an absolute lunatic, that is one of the worst flops you could possibly see. For the record, I'm jamming 90% of flops there. Any flop that does not contain something along the lines of monotone containing a flush I don't have or an ace, I'm jamming. I mean, something like Jack 10-9 is pretty sick. That might be persuaded to not do so, but it's a small range of flops that I'm not going to jam, and unfortunately for me, that was one of them. The only good news is he never bet. I think the problem is if I sort of check river, I really don't think he bets. So my only hope is just to like bet and pray that he pays off with some weird backdoor hand. But I mean, there's a very slim chance of getting paid there. But I think it's marginally more likely than if I just check. I think checking just goes check every time. I think if he was going to bluff that hand, he would have bluffed by now. Is my basic point. But anyway, as the runout went, pretty awesome. Looks like stacks are going in. I'd imagine. Wow, with fives, really? Fives hold. Whoa. Yeah, I mean this makes my point about the maniac. If you're willing to get it all in with double suit fives, it's pretty loose. Okay, I would normally isolate here. Problem I have is if I isolate, I think Eduardo is just going to be clicking his entire range. So I'm actually going to call, keep the pot small, and be able to play the entire thing in position on the button. I think that's the best line here. Against someone like this, if I'm not willing to get my entire stack in pre, which I'm not with this kind of hand, I think just taking flops and seeing what comes and playing better post-flop is just going to be to my advantage. I'm getting over 5-1, so I guess we call. When this goes bet raise, we can happily fold top pair. Probably have to pair one here with middle pair and straight draw. This has somehow got all in. Ooh, big wrap plays 2 pair. Big wrap wins. We're going to peel one turn. As turns go, that's not the one I had in mind, really. I think anytime he bets this, we're just going to fold. This is 2 disconnected, and unfortunately my opponent is completely loco. This one's a little awkward because if I bet, I largely don't get called by anything I beat. The problem is if I check, he is going to bluff a good part of his range. That said, I really expect a king to have fired, so I'm actually going to... No, I am going to check. I think he can turn hearts into a bluff on occasions. He very rarely has backdoored clubs. And given he checks turn when the king comes off, he's largely going to have busted hearts, which have to bluff. So betting, I guess, as a blocker bet, which was my initial instinct, is not terrible. But I actually think checking to sort of bluff catch is slightly better. Both options are fine, but I think the latter option that I end up going with is probably slightly better. Again, given the board's paired and clubs come in, does he bluff that often? Probably not, but it's probably a slightly greater percentage than the times he's going to be able to call with a hand that I still beat. Ace Queen 8-6 double suited. For the record, for this 3-bet challenge, I have to have open raised to call a 3-bet. So I do not have to call this 3-bet, and I'm not going to. Maybe should have made that clear at the start, but that's normally the rules in a 3-bet challenge, that you have to voluntarily put money in the pot to play a 3-bet spot. You know, to be forced to call a 3-bet spot or 4-bet. And the blinds don't count as that. So, yeah, dodged a bullet on that one. Technicalities, the greatest hype of victory. Double suited 9's out of position. Again, not really going to do much. Seems like this table's got very aggressive very quickly. The ace 10-7-5 cutoff, I think, is a reasonable open. I was hoping to steal the button, did not steal the button, but you know, it's still okay. Flopping twosies, Unfortunately, no redraw. Like I think ace king I bet, ace 10 I check. We do have backdoor diamonds. I now have the dreaded 3-pair, but I think when checked, my hand is probably good actually. I think ace king is almost certainly bet, and I have some redraws if that happens to not be the case. Although, to be honest, if I get raised, I'm folding. It won't make much sense why he's raising, but it's a pretty nutted line. I'm going to be opening kings. Getting called a lot by this gentleman. He's not a believer. He is not a believer. I'm hoping he's not a believer here when I flop the toppest of the sets. If you're going to make a set, make top set. That is my top set. Okay, let's try and get ace 4-3 to do something weird. Let's try and get, I don't know, 3-5 to go nuts. Something along those lines. 4-3 to chase, maybe. Something along those lines. Try and get somebody to overplay. Sigh. Oh well. A win is still a win. A win is better than a loss. So I guess being greedy is not too bad. 2-pair in the nut flush draw plays second nut flush draw on bottom pair. That is not exactly a fair fight, but does illustrate how light some people will get it in. And Eduardo is continuing on his one-man crusade to redistribute wealth around TonyBet's Limit Omaha pool. I've lost count of the number of times he's rebought so far, but I'm sure someone watching this could probably put in the comments below how much money he's smoked. I haven't really been keeping score, but he's got it in bad again. Oh, that's unfortunate. But yeah, I guess he's the aggressive chappy. But as I said, if you have kept score, by all means put it in the comments. But if you have any questions, feedback, or anything in between, then by all means drop it in the comments below, and I will endeavour to get back to you as soon as I can. I generally check the comments once a day or so, so I try and be reasonably punctual to respond to any questions, comments, criticism, praise, or anything in between. Even if the comment is you're turning 30, congratulations, or commiserations, I don't know, depending which way you look at it, then feel free. That's actually quite a connected hand in the left-hand table, and I'm going to be defending to a single raise. Will not be defending to a 3-bet, just because the more reduced the stack to pot ratio is with this kind of hand, the worse it is for me. But where stack to pot is vaguely my friend, we are going to be calling. I had some flops in mind. That probably wasn't one of them, but onwards and upwards. Going to be folding sixes. It's not really going to be on raising range anyway, but if I'm not able to fold 23 bets, then it really can't be. Calling a 3-bet with that kind of hand is going to be somewhat disastrous. And by somewhat, I mean very. So yeah, left-hand table's filled up a bit, just as I'm about to finish this video. Que sera, sera. But yeah, if you have enjoyed the video and you thought those TonyBet Limit Omaha tables look pretty soft, I want me some of that, then by all means, sign up, jump in. Poker VIP has a bonus code, which I use myself when I recorded the first set of videos, which is fairly good, and the 80% rate back is definitely a help as well. Right-hand table, 2-pair backdoor flush draws of both varieties, and I guess a backway Broadway draw we are going to bet. If I get raised, I'm probably folding. It makes things really awkward, and it's probably nutted, but sometimes we just bet pick up. Life is good. So I'm going to sit out my next big blind on both tables. So see if anything interesting happens in the meantime. Eduardo's hit runner in the meantime. That is a good skill to have if you're going to play every hand. Still don't think it's going to help him turn this session around into a profitable one, but it's a good skill to have, hitting runner. Can definitely vouch for that one. This hand I would be raising on button in a normal situation. With Eduardo, maybe not. When it's limped, it's a bit too disjointed. I'm happy open raising it. I'm not so happy trying to isolate somebody who's very keen to play Eduardo post flop, who's looking to get him in another god awful spot, which I imagine he's very capable of managing. The fact that Flash hasn't rebought is actually somewhat surprising, given he sat down with close to the full buy and is apparently salty. That is not PG, that comment. It's only 20 euros, my friend. Life can continue onwards. So yeah, with that one aside, I have to say the tables have generally been friendly. Most of the comments like that are not really directed towards me because I'm, spoiler alert, I'm not the guy hitting runner runner generally. Not to say I haven't done it, but I'm not usually getting it in with 20%. Touch wood. Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of salt on every single online site, but there we are. So yeah, right-hand table. That apparently was our last hand. Okay. In which case, I'm just going to set this one out as well. Try and finish them up both at the same time. Jacks, again, could I raise it in the cutoff in a normal situation? Possibly, but with Eduardo involved, do I want to? Yeah, almost certainly not if I can't fold to 3-bet. So, challenge has gone reasonably well. I believe we're up. I can't remember exactly how much we're up. It's a little bit. But it went okay. I would have liked to have been 3-bet a bit more, and we could have explored the dynamics a bit more. Maybe I'll do that in another video. Extend the challenge, see how that goes. Maybe just do a second part and see what more can go with it. But it's a good idea to do it just because it forces you to kind of think about why you're playing a hand, think about ranges, and in poker, Limit Omaha or any other type of poker, thinking 1 or 2 streets ahead as to what you're going to do to any potential action is definitely a good thing to be working on, a good habit to have. So, with that being said, this is going to wrap the video up. Feel free to drop any comments and whatnot in the section below. And until the next video, I've been Tom for Poker VIP, and I will see you guys soon.